Hi. Hey. Hi. It's me, your Void, and I'm coming at you with another puppy-fueled recommendation video. Same rules as the past videos apply. If you hear a strange bell noise, that is because my puppy is currently playing today with his bunny, which he has shredded before. I can show you. This was once upon a time a bunny. As you can see, we are missing some limbs. There you go. What? Ow. But I'm not here to recommend you plushies for your puppy to shred. I am here to recommend you books to read in the summer, because I am myself a summer child. Well, technically I'm a spring baby, but I love summer. I am a lizard person. I need the sunlight to function, to be happy, to be alive. And I do like myself a book set in summer. So I thought to myself, why not talk about them? So this is what this is. Starting off strong with one of my favorites, A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. This is a story. It is first and foremost set in summer. It is very warm in this entire book for various reasons. This is a story about two guys, a taxidermist and a botanist, and they one day decide we want to have a daughter, so they make themselves a daughter out of a corpse, some mushrooms, and some plants. What could go wrong? I like to describe this as a vegetarian version of Frankenstein, because it is very much the same structure. Like, two guys make something they probably should not have made in the first place. And yeah, there's not much more to say to this, because that is the entire plot. We have these two guys, they also live in a greenhouse, and they just one day make this creature. And then they try to raise it as their own daughter, and in the process they kind of lose their marbles. They also lose them at different speeds. So at one point, one of them sees this creature as a creature, and the other one sees it as their daughter, and then these perspectives kind of switch, but then also a new element is introduced, and there's a whole lot going on. These guys very much work on learning by doing. The problem is with that, going about it, when you have a plant zombie daughter, learning by doing is not the quickest way to solve your problems, because usually the solution to one problem they have brings with it 3 more problems they then have to solve. It is absolute chaos, but I love this very dearly. This is a very atmospheric read. At points I could feel the humidity of the greenhouse. I could smell the flowers that they are working on. I could feel the cold of the cellar where the taxidermist works. This is very luscious writing in the best way possible. Can only recommend, which is why I'm mentioning it in this video. Next up is another very atmospheric read, also taking place in summer, and that is Compound Fracture by Andrew Joseph White. At this point, it is not a secret that I love me an Andrew Joseph White. And I do have to say, Compound Fracture is my least favorite of his books. This is a YA thriller, and we follow this boy who is living somewhere in the midst, in the depths of the Appalachian Mountains, and there are some family feuds going on where he's living, and he is in the center of it. He is smack down in the center of these family feuds, and he is also the new generation of fighters in this feud, kind of. But on top of all of that, he is also trans, he's also autistic, so there is a lot of shit going on, and teenagers are just cruel assholes. And yeah, so if you ever watched these videos of people talking about their creepy encounters in the Appalachian Mountains, that is kind of the vibe going in here. Not the creepy stories itself. This is a little less paranormal than I thought when I personally went into it. There is a teeny tiny paranormal thing in here. It might just be head trauma, who knows? It might just be head trauma, so we don't really know if it is actually a paranormal thing. Just take it with a grain of salt. But I still enjoyed my time with it. I'm not a YA reader, and again, this is my least favorite Andrew Joseph White, and I still enjoyed my time with it. This again is this kind of humid, pressing down kind of summer heat. If you know what I mean, it's hard to describe, but you can feel the humidity in the air. You can hear the mosquitoes buzzing around your head when you read this. That's the kind of read this is. Then next up comes one of my favorite authors, but with a book that I very, very rarely feature on this channel, and that is In the Shadow of Lightning by Brian McClellan. You know that I love Brian McClellan. Brian McClellan is is the goat. He's my goat, right? In the Shadow of Lightning is the first book in his new series after he finished the Powder Mage universe, and I desperately need him to write book 2 of this. But this is a completely new world, completely new setting, completely new magic system, and this story too takes place in summer. And you feel it, like this is a dry summer. This is very much a dry summer, but on top of that there is a lot of heat in here, just heat imagery, because the magic system relies on glass blowing, or rather on glass, and we have a character in here that is a glass blower. So there's a lot of fire, a lot of heat involved in all of this, and we have discovered the technology of iced lattes and stuff, so you feel the summer in this one as well. And in this one we follow a cast of characters who have a bunch of problems. First, our main character is coming home after I think 9-year absence, because he ran this war campaign. He was like the youngest prodigy, blah blah blah, and then someone somehow tricked him into doing something that was very, very bad and ruined his reputation. So he did the sensible thing any 14-year-old would do. He ran away. But now his mother was killed. She was murdered very publicly, and no one is really investigating the murder, and he has inherited everything. So he has to come home, deal with his inheritance, and then he figures out, okay, no one is trying to solve my mother's murder, what the fuck? So he takes it upon himself to try and figure out this murder, where then another of our main characters come in. The third main character is this glassblower, and she's actually from an enemy nation, and she has a secret that was entrusted to her by her master, and she is basically one of the few people who can actually pull it off, because, as it turns out, magic is running out. The glass magic that these people use, it's running out. It's a finite thing, and it is running out, and the problem is their entire society, their entire culture relies on that magical glass. So having it run out is kind of a problem. So of course we want to keep that on the down low, but we also kind of need we need to figure out how to fix it, right? So that is her kind of job, and they all come together and discover this giant government conspiracy, and it is very, very cool. This is very much set up for a series. The problem, this series doesn't exist yet, because Brian McLennan is still working on book 2. I desperately need him to publish it. I'm probably going to reread this book before I read book 2, because it's been a hot second, but this book, I had so much fun with it, because this is more political scheming and investigating than the Powder Mage trilogy, which was very much set on war, which is a staple in Flintlock fantasy. You can't have guns and magic without a war, you know? And this one is not quite Flintlock fantasy. There are still guns, I believe. Like, we do have the technology for guns and cannons and shit, but our characters don't have anything to do with that. So, but the magic system is very unique, in my opinion. Like, the god glass, that's the magic resource, basically. I think that was very creative. It's a very creative system, and I desperately need to see more of that, you know? Also, this thing ends on a cliffhanger that is so incredibly mean when you need years to write book 2. Like, what the fuck? My next recommendation is actually one that doesn't necessarily take place in summer, but it's still a very hot place, because it takes place in the desert, and that is The Thousand Names by Django Wexler. This one is a Flintlock fantasy, and we follow a bunch of characters who are basically trying to, I think, recolonize the desert. Like, the desert belongs to some people, and they were like happy and content with the kingdom that conquered them, and they were allowed to basically keep their culture, at least in part, but they were very much colonized and occupied, right? And now they are actively rebelling against that, and we follow characters who work for the army that has been sent there to recapture all of this land. And there are a lot of mysteries surrounding that, and the people we follow, one of them is just a foot soldier, one of them is just a soldier, she just wants to get away, and this is where she landed. And another one is sent there, like usually all of the soldiers that are stationed in this country were sent there. It's like a punishment, basically. But the guy who then leads the campaign to recapture this country, he wanted to get there. He wanted to get there for very specific reasons, but he is very good at keeping those reasons hidden. So throughout this book, we fight this war, and we uncover some secrets that actually caused the war. Like, the rebellion happened for a reason, a very secret reason, and this guy is there for a very secret reason, and we uncover those reasons, and they come together in a very interesting way, and then shit happens. To be fair, it has been a second since I read this book. And I actually plan to reread this book in the year 2026 and read the entire series, because I have never read beyond book 1. I just remembered I really, really loved book one. It is kind of slow in parts because we are treading through the desert. So this bunny has now lost limb number 4. This was the other leg. We are now missing both ears and both legs. Oops. But yeah, this book does have a slow part here and there where we are just randomly treading through the desert. But when there are battles, it is actually really interesting, at least for me, because it does this thing that a lot of Flintlock fantasy does, which is break down the battle that happens and just, yes, the battle tactics of it all. I love stuff like that. I love stuff like that. I love Flintlock fantasy. Like I said, I don't really remember if this actually takes place in summer. I just remember this takes place in a very hot desert. So the heat, again, is something we constantly have to deal with. If you hear him whining, ignore him. He's just mad that his bunny is not fighting back, I guess. So yeah, I personally will reread this, probably in summer, just because, you know, desert, warm. But it's a good book, in my opinion. And the last summer read recommendation I have for you has to be the funniest recommendation I've ever given. This does kind of take place in summer, but more than that, it takes place on an island that is heavily giving Caribbean island vibes. So just overall summer vacation vibes, basically. And that is Dig Fight Island by Raibon Ike. What it says on the cover is what you get inside. This is about a guy who is participating in a very important cultural event on these islands, which is that every 4 years, the strongest warriors of all of the clans of these islands come together to literally dig out who is the strongest of them all. And they do so by trying to make each other finish. If you finish first, you are weaker than your opponent. And we follow this character who has come back from an international university. He went to university on the mainland, and he has learned very magical techniques while he was away. So now he comes into this battle with knowledge, with secret knowledge, the secret knowledge of the prostate and what it can do to a man. I am so very mature when talking about Dig Fight Island. To be fair, the concept is out there. The concept of this is so wild, but it works. It works. This is one of the best boys love mangas I have ever read. The relationships between all of these characters are so healthy. And it helps that this is also incredibly funny. But it's fun. It's a quick, fun read. And because it is on these tropical islands, it is very summer-esque. It's very much giving summer vibes. And my god, I cannot show you a singular page of this because what the fuck. So if you're in for a quick funny read, or if you just want to read something that is called Dig Fight Island, go for it. And there you have it, a quick little video with 5 recommendations for books to read in summer because the vibes are giving summer, or it is set in summer. If you made it to the end of this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so we can appease the almighty algorithm. And in the comments down below, let me know if you have any summer read recommendations. They don't have to be all in summer, but usually if the book is set in summer, I kind of tend to read them in summer, you know? But let me know what your favorite summer read is. Let me know if you've read any of these, and if you don't want to talk to me at all, leave a beach emoji down in the comments below. And yeah, I guess I will see you in the next video. Bye!